You pride yourself on being the girl who doesn't need much, the one who never complains, never asks for more, and just goes with the flow. You think your lack of demands makes you the perfect partner, but in reality, you are becoming invisible in your own relationship. By being so easy to please, you are teaching him that your needs don't exist, and eventually, he'll stop looking for them. I'm Amelia. I'm breaking the cool girl trap. Why being low maintenance is a fast track to being overlooked, undervalued, and eventually alone. We all know her. She's the one who is one of the guys. She doesn't mind if he cancels plans at the last minute. She's fine with just hanging out instead of going on a real date. She never gets jealous. She never starts a difficult conversation, and she certainly never asks, "Where is this going?" On the surface, you think you're winning. You think you're showing him that you're the chill alternative to all those dramatic women he's dated before. But here is the secret. The cool girl isn't a person. She's a performance. You are performing a version of yourself that has no edges, no boundaries, and no requirements. And while that might make his life easier in the short term, it makes your relationship hollow in the long term. Why do we do this? Usually it's a deep-seated fear of being too much. You've been told by society, by exes, maybe even by your family, that being high maintenance is a sin. So you overcorrect. You become so low maintenance that you require zero maintenance. But think about this. In the world of objects, the things that require the most maintenance are the most valuable. A Ferrari needs a specific mechanic and high-grade fuel. A plastic toy can be thrown in the dirt and ignored for years. When you present yourself as low maintenance, you are subconsciously telling him you are low value. You are saying, "I am cheap to keep." Men and humans in general value what they work for. It's a psychological principle called sunk cost. When a man has to plan a date, consider your feelings, and adjust his behavior to meet your standards, he is investing in you. That investment creates a bond. When you make it too easy for him, he doesn't have to invest anything. And because he hasn't invested, he isn't truly attached. This is why cool girls often get ghosted or replaced by a woman who is difficult. Because the difficult woman demanded his presence, his effort, and his respect. She made him show up. The most dangerous part of the cool girl trap is the resentment that grows in the silence. You tell yourself you're fine with the bare minimum, but inside, you're starving. You're watching other women get the flowers, the commitment, and the attention, and you're wondering why it's not happening for you. The truth? You didn't give him the manual on how to love you. You gave him a blank page and told him to do whatever he wanted. Now, you're angry because he didn't guess the needs you were so busy hiding. Moreover, you are slowly erasing the very traits that made you a unique individual in the first place. By constantly molding yourself into a mirror of his desires, you lose your own spark. You become a shadow that follows his lead, rather than a partner who walks beside him. Over time, he's not in love with you. He's in love with the convenience you provide. And convenience is easily replaced. You also deny him the opportunity to be the man he is capable of being. Masculine energy thrives on purpose and pursuit. When you remove all obstacles and never ask for his effort, you accidentally make him lazy. You're essentially telling him that his protection, his provision, and his effort aren't needed. Ironically, by trying to keep him comfortable, you're making the relationship so stagnant that he eventually loses interest in the very peace you've worked so hard to maintain. This dynamic often leads to the placeholder phenomenon. You become the woman he stays with while he's figuring himself out, because you're easy and demand nothing. But the moment he decides he's ready for a real life and a serious commitment, he often leaves for someone who is difficult. He realizes that the cool girl was just a comfort zone, but he finally wants a woman who forces him to grow, even if that growth comes with a bit of friction. Real intimacy requires that very friction. You cannot truly be known if you never allow yourself to have an opposing opinion. If there is no tension, there is no depth. By avoiding all conflict, you are keeping the relationship on life support, preventing it from ever reaching the level of soul-deep connection where both partners feel safe enough to be their messy, demanding, authentic selves. You aren't building a bond. You're building a facade that eventually crumbles under the weight of the truth. This constant self-editing leads to a state of chronic self-gaslighting. You find yourself questioning whether you even have a right to feel upset when he forgets your anniversary or stays out until dawn without a text. You tell yourself you're being chill, but what you're actually doing is abandoning your own internal compass. By silencing your inner voice to keep him comfortable, you lose the ability to trust your own instincts. You become a stranger to yourself, living in a state of quiet desperation, hoping that if you just stay small enough, he will finally see the space you've made for him and fill it with love. But here is the bitter irony. The very person you are trying to keep by being low maintenance will be the first one to call you crazy when you finally break. Because you never established a baseline of needs, your eventual and inevitable emotional outburst will seem like it came out of nowhere. To him, you were the girl who didn't care, and suddenly, you're the woman who is hysterical. By refusing to be an individual with requirements from the start, you've set a trap for yourself, where your genuine pain is seen as a betrayal of the character you promised him you were. How to break the trap? Step 1. Define your standard of entry. You need to stop being a yes woman. Start by identifying 3 things that are non-negotiable for you. Maybe it's a 24-hour notice for plans. Maybe it's a phone call instead of a text. When you communicate these, don't apologize. You aren't being difficult. You are being discernible. A woman with standards is magnetic because she signals that she respects herself too much to accept less. Step 2. Practice being inconvenient. The fear of being an inconvenience is what keeps the cool girl mask on. Break it on purpose. Tell him you don't like the restaurant he chose. Ask for a favor. Let him see you when you're not chill, when you're sad or tired or demanding. If he leaves because you have a preference, he wasn't looking for a partner. He was looking for an appliance. Let him go find someone else to ignore. Step 3. Own your desires. Stop saying I don't care or whatever you want. You do care. The next time he asks what you want to do, give a specific answer. When you own your desires, you become a 3-dimensional person. You become someone he can actually know and connect with. Intimacy is impossible without honesty, and the cool girl is fundamentally dishonest about who she is. Being easy is not the same as being loved. You don't need to be a diva, but you do need to be a woman who has a cost. The right man doesn't want a woman he can walk over. He wants a woman who inspires him to be better. Take off the mask, stop being the cool girl, and start being the real woman. If you're tired of being the chill girl who gets the short end of the stick, and you're ready to reclaim your value, subscribe to the channel.